role of nitrogenase. So in the introductory class, we said that nitrogen fixation is a process by which nitrogen, that is your atmospheric nitrogen or the dinitrogen, your atmospheric nitrogen or your dinitrogen is getting converted into ammonia, and from there we saw the cycles. And who is bringing about the conversion? It is brought about by the microorganism. It can be a free living microorganism or a symbiotic microorganism. We will be specially dealing with the symbiotic rhizobium. So if you see here, this is the structure of your nitrogenase enzyme. Where is this nitrogenase enzyme present? This nitrogenase enzyme is present in all microorganisms which are responsible to bring about your nitrogen fixation. It is present in all microorganisms, whether it is symbiotic or non-symbiotic. And also we told that the process, okay, the conversion of your nitrogen into ammonia is a very expensive process. It requires a lot of energy. That is, to convert 1 mole of nitrogen, we told that it uses up 16 ATP molecule. That is why it is an expensive pathway. And also, what is happening here is, we are telling that the nitrogen molecule is getting reduced to ammonia. So it is a reduction reaction. Okay. So my nitrogen molecule is getting reduced to ammonia. That is, a hydrogen group gets added. That is why it is called as the reducing reaction or reduction reaction. First, we will see into the nitrogenase enzyme structure. Do not forget, the nitrogenase enzyme is present in the microorganism, not the plant. This enzyme consists of 2 components. If I have written here component 2 and component 1. This enzyme consists of the molybdate iron protein and iron protein. These are the 2 components. The molybdate iron protein has 4 subunits. You can see here 1, 2, 3, 4. It has 4 subunits. Therefore, it is called as a tetramer. Okay, this is a tetramer. The next slide I'll show you the written part. This is a tetramer. And its molecular weight is around, because it is large, no, its molecular weight is around 180 to 235 kilodaltons. 235 kilodalton. So depending on the species which are representative of this molecule, according to the species, what I mean to tell is, according to the species of your plant, even the rhizobium changes. That is, 1-to-1 direct specificity it has. A particular rhizobium species can infect only a particular leguminous plant. It cannot go and infect all other leguminous plant. No, it's not like that. They are very species specific. And this subunit has a nitrogenase activity. The other one is known as the iron protein. It has a dinitrogen reductase activity. Okay, remember this. This has a nitrogenase activity, whereas this has a reductase activity. We shall come to know like later on how. So the iron protein has the dinitrogen reductase activity, and it is smaller than the 2 components. Comparatively, this is smaller than, of the 2 components, this is the smaller component. And it has 2 identical subunits, this and this. which has a molecular weight around 30 to 72 kilodalton. It is only 30 to 72 kilodalton. So if you come here, we have written this. See, this nitrogenase enzyme, it is present only in the prokaryotic organism, and 20% of your total protein in the cell. Your cell means, what I mean is, the prokaryotic cell is made up of this enzyme. The 20% of the total protein in the cell consists of this enzyme. That is, it consists of two components, iron protein, which was on this side, okay, and the molybdenum iron protein. So this iron protein contains two identical subunits. We told it is a dimer. This one, it is a dimer. This. And the gene which is involved, later on we shall speak about the genes. It is called as a NIF-H gene. Okay, nitrogen fixing gene H. And another this point to remember is each subunit is 30 to 72 kilodalton. That is the molecular weight of the iron protein. And each subunit consists of an iron and sulfur cluster. Okay, this particularly, contains what? Iron sulfur cluster. Then next is a molybdenum iron protein. It has two pairs of identical subunits. That is why it is a tetramer, and it has the gene NIF-D and NIF-K. Remember, NIF are the nitrogen fixing genes. Okay, there are different type of nitrogen fixing genes present, of which only the important ones we have written here. A total molecular weight of that molecule is 180 to 235 kilodalton. So this is a tetramer, and the molecular weight is 180 to 235 kilodalton. And each subunit has two molybdenum iron sulfate cluster. Remember, this molecule, okay, it has only iron sulfur cluster. This one, it has only iron sulfur cluster, whereas this will be having molybdenum iron sulfur cluster. And the most important point you have to remember is, both iron protein and your molybdenum iron protein are sensitive to oxygen. Okay, whether it is this portion or this portion, the entire nitrogenase enzyme is sensitive to oxygen. That is, when oxygen is present, your nitrogenase will become deactivated. It cannot perform its function. So it is sensitive to oxygen. That is what I wanted to tell you in last class. Though rhizobium is an aerobic organism, I used the word anaerobic. It is actually anaerobic environment. That word is being missed. Okay. So your rhizobium, it is an aerobic organism, and it creates an anaerobic environment when it enters into the root. How is that? We shall see that. Hope this is clear with this. So we have finished dealing with the structure of the enzyme. Next, we will see that what is the function of this enzyme is all about. So activation, how the activation is going on in this. Now, what this is, so we have this iron protein, which I told, which we are representing it in the form of component 2. What is the function of this is, it gets the electron. It gets electron from the reduction of ferredoxin or another molecule, flavodoxin. either ferredoxin or flavodoxin. Either of this molecule, it can get electron. Who can get electron? The component 2. Who is my component 2? It is an iron sulfur protein. So the iron protein gets its electron from reduction of ferredoxin or flavodoxin to then it gets converted into ferredoxin reductase. So here it was oxidate, then it gets to converted into reduction form. So what is happening? Electrons are released when the oxidation to reduction occurs. So what it does is, when the electrons are being produced, your ATP molecule, okay, 16 molecules of your ATP gets hydrolyzed to 16 molecules of ADP and 16 molecules of inorganic phosphate. That is, hydrolysis is occurring. Where it is occurring, if you can see, all this is happening in component 1, that is your iron sulfur protein. So there is electron continuously flowing, and also simultaneously the ATP hydrolysis occur. So now what happens? Such repeated electron transfer, okay, in this region, when there is repeated electron transfer, it results in the pool of electron. Completely lot of electrons are being generated here. So in the molybdenum iron protein, then it can react, okay, all the electrons will go into this. Then what happens is, your molybdenum iron protein, then it can go and react with the nitrogen and hydrogen. That is your substrate, that is your atmospheric dihydrogen and your proton which is present. It can go and react with them to form what? It will form ammonia and a dihydrogen. So you have to remember, the hydrolysis of ATP, okay, supplies the energy, because ATP is broken down, and that is what is giving the energy to this enzyme for the reaction. So what is the function of this ferredoxin or flavodoxin? What it does means, it supplies electron. These are the important points you have to do. I get means that nitrogenase enzyme gets its energy from the ATP molecule, breaking down of the ATP molecule, and it also gets its continuous supply of electrons. Okay, all electrons will get supply of this electron when the oxidization form gets reduced. So therefore, that is why we say that this is a reduction reaction, which means that electron must be added to the nitrogen to reduce it into the form of ammonia. The electrons, which are being running about here, it should be added to your nitrogen molecule. Only then it can form the ammonia. So once again, I shall repeat, this is a reduction reaction, which means that the electrons, from where I'm getting the electrons, from the reduction of flavodoxin, okay, to ferredoxin, or both, either ferredoxin or flavodoxin. When it gets reduced, I get the electrons, and this, because of this electrons, my nitrogen is getting reduced to the ammonia. Thus, the role of the component 2, okay, what is the role of the component 2? It is to supply electrons one at a time to component 1. From here, I am going to supply the electron to component 1. This is the role of your iron sulfur protein, to supply the electrons. One more point you have to remember, we told about the ATP. This ATP is not hydrolyzed to ADP until the component 2 transfers an electron to the component 1. Okay, this reaction, whatever I'm telling, this transfer of electron happens from 2 to 1. This ATP hydrolysis will not occur until this iron protein supplies its electron to molybdenum iron protein. So this is how the activation of the nitrogenase enzyme is occurring. So in a quick recap, what we'll be telling is, see, we have two components, component 1 and component 2. Okay, my component 2 is the iron sulfur protein, and my component 2 is the molybdenum iron sulfur protein, and it is a tetramer, this is a dimer. Now we are involved in the activation, how the activation of this enzyme happens. This enzyme is present inside your microorganism. What we are interested is in the rhizobium. So first you see these two components, actually that they are associated with each other, but in actual mechanism when you study, no, actually these components, both the components will be separated. This is in bit detail, that's what I not mentioned there. Actually these two components will be separated like this, okay, disassociated form. Then what happens, this is your component 2, no, okay, then it will be ready for reduction. Once it is ready for reduction, what happens is your ATP, this ATP here it is there, then that ATP will go and bind to this component 1. This is ATP. Sorry, component 2. This is our component 2. Okay. So this fellow iron protein, both are separated now. Your 2 and component 1 are separated. And this iron protein is ready for the reduction reaction. When it is ready for the reduction reaction, ATP will go and bind to this. Now what happens is, it receives the electrons from an electron donor. Who receives this? Component 2 receives the electrons from the electron donor. Who's my electron donor? It is the ferredoxin or the flavodoxin I told. Okay, now it has received all the electrons, and also your ATP has gone and bound to it. Now this binding of your ATP, okay, your reduction reaction has happened. Electrons are fully going into this reaction. Now your ATP has gone and attached. Once the electrons enter, the reduction reaction starts, your ATP, what it does is, it brings these two components together. That is, they become associated like this. Both are now together. Okay. So the binding of ATP induces an allosteric conformational change, which allows the association of the two proteins. Okay, my two proteins have been associated. So now what happens? The electrons are flowing here within the iron sulfate cluster on 2, component 2. And from this component 2, it moves towards the component 1. Okay, they are associated right now. They move to the component 1. The electrons are further shuttled in iron molybdenum cofactor. Here they'll be shuttled. And ATP, then what happens? Your ATP is hydrolyzed. That is, it gets converted to ADP and phosphate. What is happening? 16 molecules of ATP is gone. Energy is lost, okay, because of the reaction which is happening. So your ATP is hydrolyzed to ADP. And this step is repeated several times before the molecule of nitrogen can bind to the electrons from iron molybdenum cofactor. Then once this happens, no, again they will start to dissociate. They'll become like this. Okay. So this step is repeated several times before your nitrogen molecule can bind to the iron molybdenum cofactor. The protein complex, after this, the protein complex dissociates and your nitrogenase reduces. Then your nitrogenase reduces the dinitrogen to ammonia and hydrogen. This is the actual mechanism which is happening. The earlier one was the simple method which I told. Now the question what we have to ask is, where do we find this nitrogenase? As already we have spoken about this, nitrogenase is an enzyme. it is very sensitive to oxygen. That is, it gets inactivated in presence of oxygen. So oxygen is its enemy. Okay, this oxygen is the enemy of this nitrogenase. So nitrogenase is present in certain bacterial species which are referred to as diazotrophs. You know now what are diazotrophs? That is your free living and even your symbiotic organisms. So the legumes have root nodules infested with the nitrogen fixing bacteria like rhizobium or free living bacteria such as Azotobacter, and they can fix your nitrogen. So now you understood where the nitrogenase enzyme is. My nitrogenase enzyme is present in the free living organism or in the symbiotic or mutualistic microorganism. And what they do is, if it is a symbiotic organism, they are going to have a mutual relationship. That is, they are going to enter into the roots of the leguminous plant, form a nodules there and activate your nitrogenase enzyme. And see to that there is no oxygen. Otherwise, it can interfere with your nitrogenase enzyme. So this also we have already answered. What is meant by symbiosis in nitrogen fixation? Symbiosis means living together for mutual benefit. The bacteria provide plant with the ammonia. Who's producing? Your bacteria. We saw that in the nitrogenase enzyme. The bacteria will provide the ammonia to the plant, and then it gets converted to nitrate and nitrate. All the three forms can be utilized by the plant. And the plant prevents oxygen from interfering. Okay? The plants prevent oxygen from interfering with the fixation reaction. What fixation reaction? Fixation of nitrogen. So this is the mutualistic relationship. The bacteria, what it is doing, it is fixing the ammonia for the plant. That is, the nitrogen which is present in the atmosphere, it is fixed for the plant to carry out its biological activity like your photosynthesis and whatever. How the plant is helping the bacteria? It will see that the oxygen does not interfere with the nitrogen fixation. At the same time, it also supplies the carbon sources to the microorganism. That is carbohydrates, sugars. Okay, it supplies to the microorganism. So the other question what we need to ask is, what interferes with the nitrogen? As you all know that oxygen is the enemy, we told. But let us see one more enemy of this nitrogen fixation. The hydrogen produced during the process of nitrogen fixation has an inhibitory effect on the nitrogenase. So we know that the hydrogens are also being produced during your nitrogen fixation. So this nitrogen can also have a inhibitory effect on who? On your nitrogenase. So you have oxygen and you have even the hydrogen which can act as an inhibitor to the nitrogenase enzyme. But here you see a caution. Oxygen is the major factor. Okay, during nitrogen fixation can take place only in the total absence of the oxygen. Among the two, that is your oxygen or hydrogen, the most important, the major factor which can inhibit your nitrogenase is the oxygen. But how can your bacteria or the host plant can defend against the nitrogen? To prevent this means your hydrogen, the nitrogen fixing organism also produces a membrane bound enzyme called as the hump gene that codes for the hydrogenase, which consumes the hydrogen. So what happens is, your organism, if this is your organism, okay, this organism produces a membrane bound. Okay, to this membrane, what is bound? An enzyme is bound. And what is the name of the enzyme? It is the hydrogenase. What is the gene of this enzyme, it is the hump gene. So I have the hump gene here, which is going to produce what? It is going to produce an enzyme or a protein called as the hydrogenase. Okay. And what is the function of this hydrogenase enzyme is? Hydrogenase. What is the function is? It is going to inhibit the hydrogen. That is the function. So another caution you have to take is the oxygen is the major factor that inhibits the nitrogenase fixation. So if hydrogen is interfering, I have the hump gene, which is going to produce the hydrogenase enzyme and which is going to inhibit your hydrogen. What about the oxygen? How can I prevent the oxygen from interfering with my nitrogenase enzyme? The answer is leg hemoglobin, a very important question, leg hemoglobin. So oxygen is a strong inhibitor of nitrogenase activity. The rhizobium synthesizes. Now, what does this leg hemoglobin means? Leg actually stands for leguminous. It is the leguminous plant. Heme means that you know that the iron. Who produces the heme? The heme is produced by the microorganism. Okay. And what is global? It is the protein. And who provides this protein? It is provided by the plant. So the rhizobium synthesis a heme protein called as leg hemoglobin. The heme is produced by the rhizobium, that is your microorganism. This leg hemoglobin, which has a high affinity for binding to the oxygen and it quenches the oxygen. So the leg hemoglobin, whichever is formed inside your plant, what it does is it has very strong affinity to oxygen. Okay, that is a strong attraction towards the oxygen. Then wherever oxygen is there, it goes and binds to that oxygen. So making the oxygen unavailable for the nitrogenase enzyme. So as I told you earlier, the leg stands for leguminous. The heme may be contributed by the bacteria, whatever bacteria is involved in your nitrogen fixation. Okay, so free living bacteria, they have another mechanism to see to that the oxygen does not interfere, because all organism which fixes nitrogen will be having nitrogenase enzyme. Only the mechanism in which they are going to avoid the oxygen is different. Whereas my rhizobium plant, it does this mechanism. So the protein portion globulin is provided by the host plant. So whichever rhizobium is going to infect whichever leguminous plant, that plant is going to produce your protein portion, that is the globulin. So what happens is your leg hemoglobin binds all available oxygen so that oxygen cannot interfere with the nitrogen fixation and it can efficiently deliver the oxygen to the bacterial electron transfer system. Now your leg hemoglobin formed in the rhizobium acts as a reservoir of oxygen. Hope you are understanding. See, it has bound to all your oxygens. Okay. Now where is the oxygen present? My oxygen is present along with the leg hemoglobin. So now what it is acting as? It is acting as a reservoir of oxygen. All my oxygens are here. And what is this? This is my leg hemoglobin. So it is acting as a reservoir of oxygen for whom? For the bacterioid. This word bacterioid you will be studying later on. Okay, I'll just mention this. Do not forget this word. Bacteroid. T-E-R-O-I-D. bacteroid. What are this bacteroid? We shall study it later on. But I'll give you a hint, otherwise you will not be understanding it. So this is my plant roots. Okay. Now who has entered? Rhizobium has entered. So rhizobium has entered and it will form nodules. How nodules are formed? Because of the multiplication of the bacteria. Which bacteria? Rhizobium. And that multiplication of that bacteria, it has a name called as bacteroid. So in the nodules, in the cortex, what happens is, so all the bacteria will be present. Bacteria, that is called as the bacteroid. So what did I tell? Your bacteria rhizobium is an aerobic bacteria, but once it enters into your inside the root to form nodules, it becomes anaerobic. What I meant to tell is it is going to create an anaerobic environment. How it is creating anaerobic environment is by formation of the leg hemoglobin, which is a part and parcel of both your plant and your microorganisms. So these are small bacteria which are multiplying in your root. These are aerobic. It requires oxygen for the survival. So then what happens, from where it gets the oxygen, from where the condition becomes aerobic is through this leg. Now it is having all the reservoirs of oxygen, and this can supply the bacteroid with the oxygen. So see, this is how your leguminous plant, you can see the roots, and this is the nodule. Okay, look at the nodule color. So if you see the leg hemoglobin, chemical structural similarities is very much similar to what is your oxygen hemoglobin of the human. Okay, so it has a close chemical and structural similarities to hemoglobin. Who? Your leg hemoglobin. And like hemoglobin, it is also red in color here. Why? Whenever it binds to the oxygen, it becomes red in color. So your leg hemoglobin has a high affinity for oxygen, about 10 times higher than the human hemoglobin. So this allows the oxygen concentration that is low enough to allow your nitrogenase enzymes to carry out the function. Okay, but it cannot be so low also that your bacteria cannot survive. So it will see to that it can modify itself so that it can provide bacteria with the oxygen for the respiration.